Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Seems like a brand new book. It's, when you open the pages, they're like almost. Srila Prabhupada once said that I have so many people to distribute my books, but the sad part is they don't have time to read it. So I welcome you to this first day of the Damodar Lila seminar. As we recently discussed, the most auspicious merits that one achieves by observing this Kartik month. So this month of Kartik, as we recently discussed, is very awarding, not just for the devotees, but even for the karma kandis. People go to astrologers for those who want sons, those who want wealth, those who want fortune and prosperity, even in the material sense. They eagerly wait for this month of Kartik. Kartik Vrat is also called as Urja Vrat. In Sanskrit, Urja means energy or strength. And Urja, strikingly, is another name for Srimati Radharani, Urjeshwari. Just like Makheshwari, Kriyeshwari, Swadeshwari, Sureshwari, Bharateshwari, Shashaneshwari, Rameshwari, Kshameshwari, Kananeshwari, she is Pramoda Kananeshwari, she is also called as Urjeshwari, and Vrindavaneshwari, and Sarveshwari, and Praneshwari. These are different names from the songs of the Acharyas. So Urja, as we discussed, is energy. So supreme energy and supreme strength, spiritual strength, is obtained from Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the power generator or the power source of bhakti. So therefore she is also called as Bhakti Pradayini, the giver of devotion. So when we go to Krishna and we beg for devotion at his feet, Krishna will raise his hands because he cannot give you devotion for himself. Krishna cannot give you devotion for himself because he himself doesn't have it. How can Krishna have devotion for himself? Krishna has love for Srimati Radharani and all the other devotees. So when we are finding it difficult to cooperate with devotees, that's when we have to go and approach the feet of Krishna, because he's the one who cooperates with his devotees. But when we are looking for attachment to Shri Krishna, we have to approach pure devotees like Srimati Radharani. So in this month, as we recently discussed, reading about Krishna, even one-fourth a verse, one line of Krishna Katha, you read from the scriptures, you get inconceivable benefit. So is the case with hearing, so is the case with chanting japa and kirtan. In this month of Kartik, hearing about Lord Damodar is most auspicious. The reason I'm saying most auspicious is because in this, everything is included. You're reading the verses, you're hearing about Sri Krishna, you're chanting the verses, you're getting attached to the personality on whose name this whole month is named, Damodar. And it also gives us strong spiritual meaning behind even offering the lamp. When we offer the lamp to Krishna also, let us not just do it because everybody is doing, or because for the fact that there's a plate filled with lamps that has to be lit. Let us offer this lamp with devotion. And for devotion, there has to be strong scriptural knowledge and backing. When you have to love somebody, you have to learn something about that person. Right? Even Rukmini, she fell in love with Krishna by hearing. People sometimes say that, how can we love somebody whom we can't even see? Well, it's possible in the spiritual sense. Rukmini just heard about the unlimited transcendental glories of Sri Krishna, and she just wrote him the first ever love letter. I just heard about you, O Krishna, and you're the best. Just come and take me away from here. In fact, Rukmini even described how Krishna must come and cheat. This is the situation, this is how I'll be married off, and this is the loophole, and you have to come at this point and kidnap me. All this, not even seeing the personality, just by hearing. So, following those footsteps, we attempt to hear more and more and more every single day from Srimad Bhagavatam, only with that one desire. Let that day be mine when I fall in love with Krishna. We don't have any other aspiration. So, on that note, some scriptural points before we start with the story. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has two aspects. One aspect is his opulent aspect as God, where he resides in Vaikuntha, and all his devotees there worship him with great respect. They worship him, adore him, and respect him because he's God, and with awe and reverence. He's living in his majestic royal opulence. But this is the external feature of Godhood or Godhead. The internal aspect is that of sweetness. We must understand that God is not a mysterious light. He's not the person who actually is judgmental and kills you. But he's a very, very loving, sweet personality. And this sweetness of Godhood is the second or the internal aspect. So Sri Krishna, especially in Vrindavan, represents this sweetness. When you think of God, you naturally think of somebody who's greater than you. Somebody whom you must bow down to. Somebody whom you must pray to. Somebody who is worth all our worship. But in Vrindavan, the devotees of Sri Krishna don't understand this aspect. It is not that they don't understand, it's the fact that their love for the sweet part of Krishna is so high that it just completely eclipses the majestic aspect of God. So when Krishna, he runs around naked in Vrindavan as a baby boy, see, they smile. See? 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair floating in a bag of flesh and bones in this material creation, which is 25% of Krishna's creation. And in our conditioned materialistic state, when I just made that one statement, we still smile. We can't even fathom the depth of pure love in the spiritual world. Baby Krishna lies, he's on his back and he's crying and he's making excuses. They know he's lying and he knows he's lying, but they still agree that he's speaking the truth. This is the zenith. This is the highest. Krishna doesn't have anything more than this. Because in the pastimes in Vrindavan, he's completely controlled by his devotees, like a toy. The Supreme Lord as Vishnu in Vaikuntha is always giving. He's the provider. Yes? You will never find Hanuman sitting on the same seat as Ramchandra. You will never find Hanuman telling Ramchandra, come on, let's play. Let's run into the forest. Always you have to be sitting on, always I am the one who takes you on my back. Now for a change, you take me on your back. Hanuman will never tell Ramchandra that. Because the relationship is that of master and servant. But in Vrindavan, they don't care. They don't care. There's friendship, there's motherly and fatherly affection, there's parenthood, and there's conjugal love as well. Loving Krishna as there's a lover and a beloved. And Shukadev Goswami, as he is describing these pastimes of Sri Krishna, Parikshit Maharaj, who after hearing 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam which describe the majestic opulence of the Supreme Lord, has a question. He says, Nandaha kim akarot brahman shreya evam mahodayam yashoda cha mahabhaga papau yasya stanam hari. He says, O learned Brahmana, which is Shukadev Goswami here, Mother Yashoda's breast milk was sucked by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What pious, auspicious activities did she and Nanda Maharaj perform to achieve such perfection in ecstatic love? And when Parikshit Maharaj asked this question, in reply, Shukadev Goswami narrated the whole Damodar Lila, which at the end he will answer this question. So we must understand Sri Krishna in Vrindavan is the highest conception of God, because that's sweet. And there are 4 qualities that Krishna in Vrindavan possesses over even Vishnu in Vaikuntha. Rupa Goswami states them in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. He says, Rupa Madhuri. Madhuri means sweetness. The form of Krishna is way more sweeter and more beautiful than Vishnu. It's not that Vishnu is not beautiful. He's very, very beautiful, very opulent. But Vishnu's opulence and his beauty, again, so to speak, is completely covered and completely eclipsed in comparison to Krishna's beauty. Krishna, with just feathers and flowers, with his wonderful threefold bending form, can make even Cupid on his knees, fall on his knees. Therefore, Krishna is called Madan Mohan. So that is the first quality, Rupa Madhuri. He is more beautiful than Vishnu. The second quality, Venu Madhuri, the quality of playing the flute. Vishnu with 4 hands doesn't play flute that Krishna plays with 2 hands. The third quality, Leela Madhuri. Vishnu's pastimes are also very beautiful and very attractive. But Krishna's pastimes are way more sweeter. Because you will never find Vishnu as a baby. So you miss all the Vatsalya. You miss all the Madhurya. And finally, Prema Madhuri. The fact that Krishna is always surrounded by devotees who purely love him. Not for he being God, but they don't care whether he is God or no. If you tell Mother Yashoda your son is God, she'll like, oh, okay. That's not going to hamper her love. It hampers in the negative sense, in the sense that, oh, my son cannot be God. Because if he is God, then he becomes common for everyone. But my son is only mine. She's so possessive. So, understanding all those points, we dwell into this most sweet yet very beautiful pastime of Damodar Lila, which took place on the day of Diwali, as Sanatana Goswami explains, in this holy month of Kartik. Therefore, every day, that pastime, the picture of that pastime of Mother Yashoda and Krishna is on our altar, and we remember that every day by offering ghee lamps. So this comes from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9 and 10, and a few starting verses of chapter 11. So a quick overview, what has happened till now. Krishna is already born in Mathura. He was transferred to Vrindavan. He killed Putana, Shakatasur, the cart demon, Trinavarta, the whirlwind. The secret name-giving ceremony by Gargacharya is already done. Now Krishna is learning to, he's growing up and he's walking and he's talking and he's stealing yogurt and butter. And then he shows the universal form, all the cosmic creation in his mouth. In fact, this is the second time he shows Mother Yashoda the universal form. Shukadev Goswami, the first instance, he doesn't elaborately discuss it. Of course, the Acharyas explain. Then once when Krishna was a small infant, he was yawning. And when he was yawning, Mother Yashoda looked into his mouth to see whether there are any teeth. But instead, she was mesmerized seeing the cosmic creation there. And as an infant, because he can yawn forever, he closed his mouth. So that was just like split second. And she desired to see that. What is in his mouth? Therefore, Krishna enacted the whole pastime of eating dirt, only so that he can show his mother what she wanted. So that was the second time the universal form, the universal creation was shown in Krishna's mouth. Now starting with this chapter, chapter 9 of the 10th canto. Shri Shukha Uvacha Ekada Grihadasishu Yashodananda Gehini Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamantha Swayam Dadhi. So again the word starts with Ekada, as we discussed in the previous seminar. Da gives the sense of time. So Ekada means once upon a time. Eka means once. As a child we are always used to hearing once upon a time. There was a time when. So Shukadeva Goswami is narrating the whole pastime in our style. Ekada. Just like Krishna says, Yada, Tada, Sarvada, Yada, Yada hi dharmasya, Yada, when, Tada, then, in the sense of time. So Ekada, Grihadaseshu Yashoda Nanda Gehini, Karmantara Niyuktasu Nirmamanta Swayam Dadhi. So the scene that Shukadeva Goswami is showing us is the fact that Mother Yashoda is churning yogurt. She has her own pot, and she has a churning rod. But the question is, she's the queen. She's the wife of Nanda Maharaj, who's the king of Vrindavan. So why is she churning herself? Two reasons. Karmantara niyuktasu, griha dasishu, so all the servants that she had in her house, they were already doing something else. Or the other aspect of looking at it is, she employed all of them in other services so that she could do this herself. Why? Because she felt that my child is actually going to other places and he's stealing. Why? Maybe because he's not getting enough yogurt in our own house. So if I churn it myself with all my motherly love, which is unparalleled, then he won't go and steal. Then he'll be here. He'll eat what is given here. And there's nobody who can give love to Krishna like I do, because I am his mother. So therefore, I'll churn myself. Nirmamanta swayam dadhi. Swayam means myself. So she herself was churning only to ensure that baby Krishna eats whatever she makes. And in this context, it is also described that the importance of milk products. Prabhupada also explains, and our acharyas explain, that how cow was very significant for Nanda Maharaj. The whole livelihood worked on cows. They were milking the cows. The bulls were actually plowing the field. So the grains are taken care. The milk comes from the cows, and from the milk, there's buttermilk, there's yogurt, there's paneer in the present age, and then all the sweets. So everything was taken care simply by having a cow. But the sad part is that which was the livelihood for the Vrajavasis is endangered these days. That same cow which can actually sustain you for life is being slaughtered. I don't know where our civilization is going. Even if we believe that all animals must be protected, that's also fine. We are not saying that you protect the cow but kill something else. Cows must be given preference over everything else. In fact, at one point, Prabhupada, in his discussion with a French, what do you call it, father? He was, I think, the head of the church in France. So while talking to him, Prabhupada makes this point that cows are special. If you want to eat meat, eat the lower meat, but not cow. Right? So the best is, of course, no meat eating and no killing, absolutely. But even if the mlechas want it, let it be the lower meat, not the cow. But these days, other animals are protected. And if you hurt other animals, then you're behind bars. But the same cow can be slaughtered. The chicken can be slaughtered. The bulls can be slaughtered. So we have to be very careful. The whole of Vrindavan was sustained. Therefore, it's called as Gokul. Kula means a family. That family which could sustain completely simply by nourishing and taking care of these cows is Gokul. Krishna has so many such names. Govind, he who gave pleasure to the cows. Gopal, he who protected the cows. Govardhan, hill. Vardhanam means increasing or nourishing. That hill which used to give grass, which nourished the cows, is Govardhan. Goloka, we say I want to go to Goloka Vrindavan. Loka means planet. The planet of cows is Goloka. So in that way, here starting with this first verse describes how Mother Yashoda herself was taking this task. And Yani Yani ha Gitani tad bala charitani cha dadhi nirmantane kale smaranti tanya gayata. So beautiful. Yani Yani iha Gitani. So what was Mother Yashoda parallelly doing? So this was her work. The work was churning. And parallelly she was singing. Gitani. We know the word Gita. Bhagavad Gita. Uddhava Gita. Rudra Gita. Gita means song. So Yani Yani iha Gitani. She was also singing parallelly. What was she singing? Tad bala charitani cha. The childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna. Now of course she being Krishna's mother cannot sit with Kartal and Mridanga and keep singing Kirtan there. she cannot worship Krishna with Kirtan. So naturally the small things that she saw that Krishna was doing, she was composing a song out of it and singing as she was working. Dadhi nirmantane kale smaranti tanya gayata. She was remembering them and she was singing them very sweetly as she was nirmantane kale, at the time of churning. And when she was doing this, her bangles were actually swinging and spinning because of the natural movement. And as the bangles were touching and tinkling around, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, as she was doing kirtan, even her bangles were doing kirtan. Her bangles were thinking, oh, Mother Yashoda is singing, but she doesn't have a kartal, so therefore we'll keep the beat. And they were spinning around. This process of singing is very important. Whether you sing melodiously or you don't sing melodiously, or you keep the beat, you don't keep the beat, you hit the right note, you don't hit the right note. Of course, it's better if you can. But even if you can't, this process of crying for Krishna and singing for Krishna are very important. Iti gopya pragayanta pralapantyascha chitradha rurudu suswaram rajan Krishna darshana lalasa. Shukadev Goswami describes Krishna appeared amidst the gopis only after the gopis cried for him and sang for him. So singing, this process of singing is very important. Even in ISKCON, Prabhupada, the day starts with singing. Every arti goes on with singing. Even Mahaprabhu, he made Yuga Dharma as the Harinam Sankirtan as the Yuga Dharma, which is singing and dancing. So this process of expressing our heartfelt emotions for Krishna through our voice is very important. Of course, if it's not one's natural nature, one need not force oneself to it. If one can express oneself. That's what is explained here, even in the purport. Prabhupada quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and he quotes Sanatana Goswami, saying how this process of singing and remembering, smaranti and gayanti, remembering Krishna and singing for Krishna. In fact, Prabhupada at one instance said that constantly remembering Krishna means constantly chanting Hare Krishna. We cannot just sit like yogis and try to meditate on the pastimes. But we can easily remember Krishna by chanting the holy name. And when we can sing with instruments in the association of Vaishnavas, the best. Even in Mahaprabhu's Leelas, we find the instances of Swarup Damodar Goswami to be an excellent singer. The example of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. And his natural talent was,
he could sing the same verse of the Bhagavatam in different melodies. And Mahaprabhu and other associates, they were really happy. Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami used to sit and hear Raghunath Bhatta Goswami sing the Bhagavatam. So he was known for that. And so was Gadadhar Pandit. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, at the same time, he explains this fact that apart from singing and remembering, the effort that Mother Yashoda was taking to please Krishna. When she noticed that Krishna was not happy eating the butter at her place, which was her idea, which wasn't true, he was going out to steal yogurt only because the gopis, while churning, they prayed, how we wish Mother Yashoda's darling child came and ate our yogurt, our butter. But alas, we know she's such a nice, excellent cook, and she makes so many preparations. So why will Krishna come here? But they still had this desire. Oh, we're cooking all this, we are making butter, we are boiling the milk. How we wish Krishna came and tasted this. And only to fulfill the desire of those gopis and those devotees, Krishna is to come and steal. And as we were recently discussing, when the gopis complained, oh Krishna, you're a thief. Krishna used to keep eating yogurt and butter and look at them and said, me? No, you're a thief. And the acharyas explained, Krishna was speaking the truth. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. He is actually the proprietor and the controller of all the planetary creations. What to speak of the butter in the neighbor's house? So Krishna was simply coming and taking his portion. But they were thinking that because the butter was in their house, it belonged to them. So Krishna was saying, thief? Me? No, you're the thief. So to avoid all of that, Mother Yashoda used to milk the best possible cows that she had. Out of 900,000 cows that Nanda Maharaj had, she picked the 8 best, which were also called as the Padma Gandha cows. And she used to select them, give them the best possible grass, and then milk them, and that milk used to be given to Krishna. So here we find that, so that's the situation. So that's the milk, and that's what she's working with. In the next verse, Shukadeva Goswami describes how Mother Yashoda is looking. Now she's churning, but how is she decked up and how is she looking? Dressed in a saffron yellow sari with a belt tied about her full hips, Mother Yashoda pulled on the churning rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating, and her whole body shaking. Because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk, her face, with its very beautiful eyebrows, was wet with perspiration, and the malti flowers were falling off from her hair. Prabhupada in the purport writes, such a beautiful meditation. He says a very significant point. He says, for those who want to follow the footsteps of Mother Yashoda, who want to approach Krishna in this motherly affection, must meditate on this description. How Mother Yashoda looks, what is the cloth that she wears, how is her hair, and how is the malti flowers on her hair, and how is her bodily features and looks, and at the same time, how is her mood. However, an important point that Prabhupada makes in the purport is that one should never think that by practice, we can become Mother Yashoda. Prabhupada says this is Mayavad. Just like somebody attempts to be God, and that's not possible, similarly, the attempt to become Nanda Maharaj or Mother Yashoda or Radharani or Lalita Vishakha or Subal, any of these close associates, to replace them and we become them, that's not possible. Sorry, the spots are gone. There's no replacement and there's no swapping. But following their footsteps, anugatya, following in the footsteps and taking their mood towards Krishna, that's possible. So Prabhupada writes here in the purport, anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in this motherly affection should contemplate on these bodily features of Mother Yashoda. So very nicely, Shukadeva Goswami is describing. In fact, in one letter, Prabhupada writes, following the footsteps of the acharyas, fantastic. That is very good. But imitating the activities of the acharyas, that's not very good. he talks about two words, Anusharan and Anukaran. Anusharan means following the footsteps. And Anukaran means just plain imitation. So Raghunath Das Goswami ate once in 3 days. So I will also eat once in 3 days. Let's see how long you last. So imitation never takes us anywhere. But following the footsteps is our path. In fact, in one verse of the Mahabharata, it is described that you will never get Krishna by mundane argument. You will never get Krishna simply by reading the scriptures. The right and the legitimate way to get Krishna is to follow the footsteps of the predecessor acharyas. So here Prabhupada makes that point. At this point, as she's singing and her bangles are shaking and she's sweating and perspiring and the flowers are falling, the hair is loosening and she's tucking her sari within, Krishna is sleeping in another room. And that sleep is called as Yoga Nidra. Krishna's sleep is called as Yoga Nidra. Not like our sleep. In our sleep, we are not even aware where we are. But in Krishna's sleep, he is aware of not just where he is, but where all the jivas are. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Krishna who was sleeping in another room, his sleep, the meditation that he was having in his sleep was broken by the Sankirtan of Mother Yashoda. And this Krishna, he came out and he desired to drink milk. So as Mother Yashoda was churning and she had a churning rod on the pot, Krishna came wiping his eyes because he was sleepy. Sometimes we think that the descriptions are apt because they are according to what we do. But the thing is, we being part and parcels of Krishna, we try to do what he does. Children even now perform the pastimes that Krishna does or did. In fact, it's eternal, so does. Like, eating whatever they find on the floor, trying to tap the floor with their hand, right? And as they start speaking, they mumble words, their baby walk. Krishna did all of this. And therefore parampara, even babies even now they follow that. So Krishna, he came and he signaled to Mother Yashoda that he's really hungry. But to signal that, first he went and held the churning rod with his hand. So as soon as Mother Yashoda saw that, she had a big smile on her face. Why? Because she understood that her child has become so intelligent that he knows that by holding the churning rod, she will stop. He didn't hold her sari. He didn't hold her hand. He didn't hold her hair. He just went and held the rod because he knew as soon as he holds the rod, the whole process will stop. So she smiled. And as she smiled, she picked Krishna on her lap. And as she was picking, in fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, Krishna was more eager to come onto her lap than she herself was. So before she picked Krishna, Krishna had already kept one leg on the lap of Mother Yashoda. So she was churning, and Krishna comes, and even before she could pick, he keeps his leg here. Right? Ready to take Krishna. Sanatana Goswami describes this process of churning, right, that Mother Yashoda was doing. He describes this process of churning is like trying to cram the scriptures. Trying to churn the scriptures. So Krishna is trying to explain here, why are you churning the scriptures so much when I am present in front of you? You have already attained me, so stop churning the scriptures like this. In the sense that the aim of learning our scriptures and reading these scriptures is not for knowledge. It is to get attached to Krishna. It is to obtain Krishna. The mental speculators or the jnanis, they argue on the basis of scriptures. They know everything back and forth. But the thing is, they're so engrossed in reading these scriptures that they forget the essence why they are reading it. So Krishna reminds in the Bhagavad Gita that Sarvasya chaham ridhisannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavit eva chaham. 15:15 Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, of all the Vedas, I am to be known. I am the compiler, and the knower of all the Vedas. So if we are reading the scriptures, and if we don't come to the conclusion that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. We are simply wasting our time. So Krishna is indicating here, by holding the rod, that why are you unnecessarily churning the scriptures when you have already attained me? So that's a signal to the devotees. It's good to read the scriptures to know the essence. But missing the essence and simply trying to cram, that doesn't take us anywhere. So when Krishna came and he desired to drink her milk, Mother Yashoda picked him up and started feeding Krishna. And as we were discussing the other day, as Mother Yashoda was feeding her milk to Krishna, Krishna was so happy. Can we imagine the good fortune of Mother Yashoda? The Bhagavatam describes that the Supreme Lord can be seen in 3 features. What are those 3 features? Who can answer? What are the 3 features or the 3 phases of... Yes, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. What is Brahman? Brahman is the Brahma Jyoti or the effulgence coming from the body of the Supreme Lord. What is Paramatma? What is the localized Paramatma? The Supreme Lord seated in our heart that the yogis meditate on. And what is Bhagavan? The complete form, perfect and complete form of the Supreme Lord. Even in Bhagavan, we have Vishnu who stays in Vaikuntha. Even higher is Ramachandra who stays in Ayodhya. Even higher is Shri Krishna who stays in Krishna Loka. Then Krishna is the Lord in Dwaraka. Even better is Krishna in Mathura because it's sweeter. And the best is Krishna in Vrindavan. And there also Krishna as a friend is way better than Krishna as a master. And then Krishna as a child is even better than Krishna as a friend. So the point of this whole discussion here is that Supreme Lord, who's the cause of all causes, is ready to become a helpless child in the hands and the lap of Mother Yashoda, only to drink her milk, which is filled with motherly affection. There is nothing that conquers Krishna. Only bhakti. Only bhakti. Srila Madhavendra Puri, the Param Guru or the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri, who was spiritual master of Mahaprabhu, he was such a great devotee. He didn't have money. He was not, materially speaking, very opulent. But Gopal came and fed him milk because he was starving. Himself. He stole kheer for him as Gopinath. Madhavendra Puri just desired once. He was looking at the Lord and he saw pots of kheer there, which were being offered. And just once he desired, only if I get one pot out of it and I taste it. Not because he wanted to know the taste, but he simply wanted to know the way it is prepared there for Gopinath, so that he could prepare it like that. Only if he tastes, he will know how nicely and how well it's prepared. But then he realized, oh my God, I'm thinking of tasting that which is on the offering plate. He said, oh Krishna, this is really bad. And he fasted. And that night, Gopinath came in the dream of the pujari and said, go and find Madhavendra Puri. I have stolen a pot of kheer for him. The kheer that he wanted to drink, I have actually stolen, and that's behind the curtain. Please go and give it to him. What was the qualification of Madhavendra Puri? He didn't have a lot of money. He wasn't a CEO in a multinational company. He was nothing. Materially speaking, he was a beggar, so to speak. But he had love for Krishna. Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, the guru of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was blind towards the end part of his life. Because he was so renounced, he used to eat whatever he found. So sometimes he used to just eat the mud of Radhakund. He was so exalted. He could see Radharani's footprints everywhere and he'll just take that dust and eat. Oh, Radharani's footprint. He was exalted. Because of which, he went blind. So one day, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was chanting early in the morning, and outside the Gaudiya Math, he saw Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. He said, how did you reach here and how did you come here? And you have to actually cross the river and come across. And you cannot do it, you're blind. And it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. How did you manage to come here? Gaurkishore Das Babaji smiled and he said, I desired to come here and that bluish black boy caught my hand and got me here. What was Gaurkishore Das Babaji's qualification for Krishna to hold his hand and cross him across? Take him across. He had love. Bilva Mangala Thakur is another example. Of course, that's a long story, but from the point that Bilva Mangala Thakur went blind, right? And still Krishna showered his mercy on him. He appeared in front of him. In fact, Bilva Mangala Thakur didn't even realize. He was walking around and then he didn't know the place, and then Krishna held his hand and walked with him. And after a point, Bilva Mangala Thakur realized, hey, this is Krishna. And then as soon as he realized this is Krishna, Krishna slipped out of his hand. And then Bilva Mangala Thakur started crying. He said, I can see you. Why are you torturing me like this? Come and hold my hand again. But Krishna never came. And then Bilva Mangala Thakur challenged Krishna. He said, you left me all alone and you left my hand and you went. But I challenge you. Try leaving the core of my heart the way you left me like this. You left me in reality, but I have captured you in my heart. I challenge you. Try leaving my heart. And Krishna never left his heart. So he could actually meditate on the form. So the essence is, Krishna is only and only attracted and purchased by bhakti. The essence of Bhagavad Gita is bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyascha tatvata. We cannot get Krishna through any other process. And Krishna makes this point. He says, he describes all the other processes. He speaks about Dhyana Yoga, he speaks about Jnana Yoga, he speaks about Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. He speaks about all of this. But then finally he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukta tamomata. 647 Bhagavad Gita. He says, of all these different types of yogis of Arjuna, he who actually performs bhakti is topmost, in my opinion. And here was Mother Yashoda. What was her qualification, materially speaking? She wasn't having a big post. She didn't have a lot of wealth in the sense, the currency, the coinage. They were just lived on cows. Simple village girl in Vrindavan. But she had pure, unalloyed, uninterrupted, unconditional, unmotivated love for Sri Krishna. And that Supreme Lord could actually become a child in her lap. So as Krishna was drinking her milk, he had a smile because he was tasting that love. And Mother Yashoda saw the face of Krishna, who was such a beautiful baby, smiling and drinking her milk. And seeing the beautiful face of Sri Krishna smiling, her love for Krishna increased. And the sweetness, the sweetness of the milk that came out of her breast was even more higher. And now tasting that sweetness, Krishna had a bigger smile. And this went on. Then Shukadeva Goswami says, as this was going on, this interaction between Mother Yashoda feeding Krishna and Krishna enjoying and relishing, Mother Yashoda, the split second, saw that the milk that she had collected, the Padmagandha milk from all the cows, which she had kept, the milk pan was over the oven or the stove, so to speak. And that was over boiling. Now she had split second to decide what to do. Should I continue feeding Krishna and let all that effort and all that milk just go waste? Or should I put Krishna down and go and collect that milk? And within a second she decided, we have put in a lot of effort there. We have milked so many cows. We have fed them excellent grass and they have given their milk. And we have collected all that milk and that's on the stove. There's so much of effort. I think I must go there. Feeding Krishna my milk, I can feed Krishna anytime. Where does Krishna go and where am I going? We are here. So she put that Krishna whom she was feeding, she just put him down very quick, like this, and she ran. And that Sri Krishna, who till now was displaying his sweet pastimes, The split second that Mother Yashoda left him, that split second, that sweet form of Krishna was turned and the opulent part of Godhead came ahead. I am the Lord of Vaikunta. Sarva Karana Karanam, I am the cause of all causes and I am the creator of all creations. I am the Lord of all lords, and this lady puts me down. He gets these bursts sometimes. He has to learn to forget them. But he gets it. Krishna gets it. So when Mother Yashoda left him, he immediately got angry. And he started biting his lips. Why did my mother do this to me? He's a baby. He was kicking his legs and had his own expressions of tantrums. Now I have a very significant question to ask all of you all who are hearing. Is this right on Mother Yashoda's part to do this?
Do what?
To put Krishna aside.
It's because she was getting the milk to feed Krishna. She was only thinking of Krishna.
But she's making Krishna angry.
Mothers have that nature when they know, they do it for, I don't know how to describe, but do you know what I mean?
I don't know, that's the reason I'm asking.
They understand that the child's anger is, I don't know, I think
Okay.
they make decisions, there's an intuition of, okay, you're going to be angry, but it's going to be okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
What do you think? Yes.
This is a stretch, but just from and it popped in my head. In the Christian tradition, you have Mary Magdalene, who was at Christ's feet.
Mm-hmm.
It was contemplative. Christ was speaking, and Martha, her sister,
Mm-hmm.
was complaining that Mary was not doing any work
Mm-hmm.
around the house,
Mm.
and in the ensuing moments, Martha became very angry that Mary was spending time in front of Christ, being with Christ,
Right.
where she was doing all this work.
Mm.
And Christ said, Martha, 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 Mary's part is the best. Meaning that Mary, you will always have this work to do, but the time that I am here with you, you should spend with me. If I'm with you, spend it with me. Don't let the work
Right.
take care of itself. So the best part was being with. So my perfect take on it, because I haven't read the purports or anything like that.
This is not correct on Mother Yashoda's part, right? Right. Okay. Good. I was waiting for somebody to say that. Good. What's your take on it? Is it good for Mother Yashoda to leave Krishna behind?
Right, material world, I think, considering that she did right?
She did the right thing? Okay.
Yeah, she did right
We know Mother Yashoda is a pure devotee and she won't make mistakes, so.
Then there's also the fact that it's Lila.
Yeah.
It's
It was
just
not a
part
block
of
for Krishna.
Lila.
She set him down.
Right. So you're actually hitting the nail on the head. So what love are you talking about?
She was more concerned with, she wanted him to get that milk.
Perfect.
She wasn't worried, oh, I've got this disaster over there, and then I got to clean up the milk. She was thinking that milk is specifically for Krishna, and and so I need to put him aside, so that
One interesting thing is when Mother Yashoda put Krishna down, the disaster hadn't taken place. So she had to just decide, should I continue feeding Krishna or should I go and get the milk? That's a wonderful point, that her love for Krishna was in Krishna tasting that milk and momentary anger from Krishna in comparison to she feeding Krishna her milk and let that milk boil over.
either way, she was thinking of feeding Krishna.
Right. So here Prabhupada writes in the purport that many times the devotee would be in a fix of two services or multiple services, and we have to forcefully pick one service over the other. Like for example, Mother Yashoda had an option of either continuing feeding Krishna or getting that milk, which again would be feeding Krishna, as Prabhu said. So Prabhupada quotes the Bhagavad Gita to say, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadhami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayantite. That those who are constantly absorbed with the thought of pleasing Krishna, Krishna will inspire as Paramatma which service to pick. So Krishna actually inspired Mother Yashoda as Paramatma, go and save the milk. And then he's having his tantrums here. And it is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that he was angry, he was biting his swollen red lips. He had false tears. He had anger, but he had this tears of, as if he was betrayed. You know, like tears and, how come? You know, so he was like shocked. And at the same time, Prabhupada also quotes the Acharyas here, saying that pure love for Krishna, not necessarily always just to please him directly. Like here, Mother Yashoda wasn't pleasing Krishna directly, but she was displeasing Krishna temporarily to permanently please him. Right? The example of Hiranyakasipu, for example, in Nrsimha Lila. Narsimha is in Viryaras, or that of fighting spirit, right? So when he gets an opponent very strong, that increases his pleasure. Because now Nrsimha doesn't have to fight with someone who's inferior. If he gets a strong opponent, that's pleasing Nrsimhadev. So Hiranyakasipu was so powerful. And he was hitting Nrsimhadev. Nrsimhadev was having pleasure because Hiranyakasipu was fighting him. But this is not bhakti. Why? Because the intention of Hiranyakasipu was not to please Nrsimhadev. You get this point? Although he was pleasing Nrsimhadev at that moment, his intention was not to please him. So therefore that's not considered bhakti according to Jiva Goswami. Pure bhakti. But on the contrast, Mother Yashoda is irritating Krishna here, externally to speaking. But internally she's pleasing him. So that's Uttam Bhakti. That's topmost form of bhakti. Right? So Krishna here, we know the story, but it's always good to repeat, and this is the last point for the day. Krishna, who was so angry, and he was having false tears, not true tears, like he saw pots around, he saw pots hanging, he saw pots everywhere, Nanda Maharaj's house. And he saw stones also. They didn't have tiles like us then. He had stones and bricks around. So he picked one of those stones, and in fact Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes Krishna actually picked if Krishna at that point had to pick a stone, how light the stone would be. Because Krishna's a baby. Don't think of Krishna here as Vishnu who can, as Varahadev can lift the whole earth. What is the big thing for him to pick a stone? He's a baby here, right? He's forgetting he's God. And we have to forget. When you read these pastimes, we have to forget that he's God. Only then you relish it. So he picked up the stone and he just threw it at the pots. And the stone hit the pots, and the pots hit the pots, the other pots hit the pots. They were all swinging and hanging and breaking all the pots, and there was a total mess. Sorry?
That's quite a throw.
Yeah, that's quite a throw. It's quite a throw. Because Krishna here is like, I can destroy. Right? And who can challenge Krishna as far as destruction is concerned? He's the one who maintains creation, maintenance, and destruction, annihilation. So as we discussed, he came in that burst of Godhood, and he threw that stone. And there's yogurt and butter everywhere, there's milk all over the place. And Krishna ran to the other room. And as we discussed the other day, Mother Yashoda just took some few seconds. And she came back from the stove, and she saw total mess. All the work that she had done for months together, and days and weeks together, and having all these pots and making all these arrangements, all to the ground. And now neither can you give it to Krishna, nor can anybody have it. Even animals won't have it. It's all a waste. The pots are broken, you clean that mess, and where's Krishna? And Shukadeva Goswami describes here, Mother Yashoda, she didn't find Krishna and she saw the mess and she was convinced The messy Krishna did the mess. The mess is here, but the messy is not here. So it's Krishna who did it. And then as we discussed the other day again, Mother Yashoda, it wasn't very difficult for her to find where Krishna was, because Krishna had these ankle bells. And he was running from one room to the other, and he thought she won't catch and she won't know where he is. But as he was running, the ankle bells were tinkling, and she knew the sounds coming from there. And she also saw this small, beautiful butter footprints going from this room to the other. And she's the first ever detective. She saw all of that, and in the other room, this wooden grinding mortar was upside down, and Krishna was sitting on top of that, feeding the crows, feeding the monkeys. The monkeys were satisfied. The monkeys in Ramchandra's Lila, which helped Ramchandra cross over and rescue Sita, became the monkeys in Vrindavan, and had the very beautiful fortune of eating yogurt and butter from Krishna's baby hands and palms. Ramchandra's Leela, many of Ramchandra's Leela are connected with Krishna's Leela. The sages in Dandakaranya who wanted to embrace Ramchandra became the gopis in Vrindavan. The hill in Ramchandra's Leela which couldn't participate in the building of the Setu became Giriraj Govardhan, which Krishna gave personal association for 7 days and 7 nights. And similarly, the monkeys, which didn't get any reciprocation and award from Ramchandra for helping, reincarnated as the monkeys in Vrindavan. Of course, Krishna is making friends with monkeys in Vrindavan, but we are advised not to make friendship with monkeys in Vrindavan. Those who have been to Vrindavan will know you shouldn't make monkeys either your friends or your enemies. Just be neutral. The monkeys, in Vrindavan, they are, especially in a place called a Seva Kunj, you have monkeys this big. They just jump, and it's very scary, and they'll have like 40 monkeys there welcoming you to Seva Kunj. So in that way, Krishna was sitting, and he was breaking all the pots and eating all the butter and feeding the monkeys. Mother Yashoda saw Krishna from behind, and what happens next is what tomorrow's pastime will unfold. So what Mother Yashoda does with Krishna, and what Krishna does in return, and the philosophical backing with every moment of Krishna as revealed in the Shastra, is what will be covered tomorrow. So thank you so much for coming in this evening and participating in this narration and oral reception of this beautiful pastime. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Radha Damodar ki jai. Gaur Prema.